Chafford Gorges is an urban oasis in the heart of the Land of the Fans. The story behind this peaceful nature reserve reveals the history of an industrial working landscape. A double-edged sword that helped the local economy but at huge cost to the environment. Today, the scars of the industrial past have created new opportunities for local people and wildlife. The Land of the Fans Partnership Scheme has shone a light on the history of this working landscape.
Build up your livestock, make more manure, enrich the soil, restore the nutrients.
My name's John Matthews and I am project manager for a project undertaken for the Land of the Fans looking at the cement industry in Thurrock. The Thurrock Local History Society got a grant from Land of the Fans to try and explain the industrial landscape that is here but not necessarily appreciated. The cement industry in Thurrock was massive. The extraction of chalk from this area has just created enormous holes in the ground. We're standing in one now. This part of Thurrock is built on chalk, which is one of the main components of cement. The second most important component of cement is clay. And we have lots of clay from the Thames and surrounding areas. So we had chalk, we had clay, and we had easy access to London via the railways. Perfect location. Where we are at the moment is a place called Gray's Pit, and in the heyday, in a very busy place, a very noisy place, you would have seen lots of workers, lots of industrial railways and wagons, and there were cement companies all along London Road between Purfleet and Grays.
For just over 100 years, Thurrock produced cement that was used in all four corners of the world. From the late 1800s, the factories provided employment and security for local families. The industry played a huge part in local history and even earned Grays the nickname Cementopolis. But by the 1970s, factories were built abroad and cement manufacture in Thurrock became increasingly uncompetitive.
When the industry closed, what was left behind was a derelict industrial landscape. The cement companies had no responsibility for clearing up after themselves, and it gradually fell apart, got vandalised and so on. So for 10 years or so, it was a real blot on the landscape.
Sand and gravel, washed down by the River Thames, brought another industry that shaped the Land of the Fans. Providing raw materials to meet the rising demand for housing in London and Essex, gravel extraction was a major local industry in the 19th and 20th century.
My job is shoveling and loading gravel. The quarry is a huge pit in a scarred industrial landscape with no room for wildlife. I dig and shovel sand and gravel for 8 hours a day. The trucks carry the sand and gravel across the borough to the housing estate in Dagenham to make concrete and roads. Becontree was made in 1921, a large cottage estate with homes for around 26,000 people. That is the biggest public housing development in the world.
Mary Wright, co-chair of the Thames Chase Trust, has witnessed the dramatic changes in the area.
From my earliest days, I remember the impact of gravel extraction. From my farm alone, in the 50s, they started to take gravel out of the land. And so I can remember going to school and seeing these huge lorries going along the country lanes into these areas that for us was farmland, lovely fields full of corn, etc., and seeing them actually digging up the land.
By the 1980s, decades of heavy industry and landfill led to a fragmented and scarred landscape. Mary was part of a group of local people who were instrumental in the formation of the Thames Chase Community Forest, a major initiative which aimed to reverse the negative impact of industry on the local area.
16% of the area, the green space in this area, was lost to various gravel extraction and other industry in the area. Many people said it was a dead area. People who had lived here for a long time had lost that feeling of community. The main purpose of the community forest was to return the area to a live, living area, both for wildlife and for people. So a lot of the landfill areas were regenerated. The community forest was set up in really to help people regain that identity. And this is where the Land of the Fans was introduced in order to regenerate that element of the community forest, which was all about heritage and pride, being proud of the area and giving it quality back, but also to celebrate its history.
Traces of the cement industry can still be seen in Chafford Gorges. Land of the Fans has worked with the Thurrock Local History Society to help celebrate this important piece of local history.
We produced an interactive map of the area showing what you could see, or in some cases what used to be there but you can't see anymore. We organised a walk so that people could come and look at what happened and where it was. We published a booklet, and I've given a couple of talks to local residents about the industry and what it used to be like.
Today, those huge industrial holes in the landscape have been transformed into lakes for water sports, parks for public enjoyment, and havens for wildlife. Many former chalk quarries were redeveloped into new landmarks, such as Chafford Housing Estate and Lakeside Shopping Centre. Chafford Gorges was slowly returned to nature and is now managed by the Essex Wildlife Trust.
My name's Dean Williams and I'm the ranger for Chafford Gorges Nature Park. Chafford Gorges Nature Park is 200 acres. Key habitats on site are the calcareous grasslands. We've got an ancient woodland, chalk waters, and this variety of habitat means we're one of the most speciose nature reserves in the whole of Essex. We've also just recently installed, thanks to Land of the Fans, 22 new interpretation panels around the lesser walked parts of the reserve. So come down and explore.
In these last few years, people have begun to appreciate the effect of green space, not just on their lives, but on the future for people in the terms of climate change and all the detriment the industrial approach to life has brought. So hopefully what we're doing here will give an example to people of what can be achieved.